I'm kind of open-minded about what I do with this aquascape for the next 3 months. Do I rescape it? I did have an idea of putting my Malawi cichlids in here because they're getting really big for the OASE HighLine 175. Do I just keep this one going? Do I rescape this as another nature aquarium, or do I do another style of aquascape? Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. And let me know what you think to these lights, what your first impressions are. Hi everyone, George here, and welcome to another video from the GFS gallery. This video is all about these new lights. These are the Chihiros RGB VIVID 2s that were sent over from China, direct from China, from the guys who make them, Chihiros of course. A couple of disclaimers: this isn't a paid sponsored video, but they did send me these for free. They do want to do some more collaborations, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that, but I am definitely interested in trying out these new lights, and I'm very happy to be able to tell you all about them. It is going to be an independent review. Like I said, I'm not paid. I have quite a lot of experience with planted aquarium and aquascaping lighting now. So for instance, this originally had Kessel A360s on, and then it had the Twinstar 1200, and now we've got the Chihiros RGB VIVID 2s. They are mounted, as you can see. This is the Atlantis suspension arm, which I bought from Aquarium Gardens. Very easy to use. The lights themselves were really simple to install. I was really surprised, and they come with suspension wires, as you can see there. Each has its own power supply with a UK plug, and everything was really straightforward to mount and to use. Their maximum output is 130 watts, which is very powerful. And it's fully controllable in terms of the red, the green and the blue channels. And you can control it via an app, and we'll talk about the app in more detail later. I am running them at around 50% each at the moment, so the total light output is actually more than the Twinstar, but I think we can deal with that amount of light because we've got so many healthy plants in there. As you can see probably in the video, the colours are very saturated. The greens are really green, the reds are nice. It's like when you go on Instagram, maybe if you've got an Instagram account and you put your own photo on there, you know you can boost the saturation up. It's just like you've done that with everything in the aquarium. So how these lights work is that each individual LED diode has a combination of the red, green and blue mixed into each chip, which gives a really super rich colour. If we compare that to the Twinstar, that actually has different coloured LEDs. So we have the red, green, blue and white LEDs, all as separate LED lights, if that makes sense. The overall effect, as you can probably see right now, is all of the colours are boosted. Now, whether you like this or not is a matter of taste, of course. Now, I know some of my aquascaping colleagues, they actually prefer the kind of more subtle coloration of the Twinstar, and they might prefer the more kind of a natural effect of the Kessels with a shimmer effect. The actual units themselves, they don't come with shades, so you have to buy these separate. These literally just clip on. There's one each side, very simple to install. It literally hooks on to the side of the unit. But these are important if you're kind of sitting down and you don't want the glare of these lights. They're really bright. I'm looking at it just now, even on half power, they are really bright. You will need the shades, I would suggest, if you're going to be viewing your tank sitting down. The units themselves, in terms of their structure, they're not quite as attractive as the ADA Solar RGB. I think it's worth talking about those in a bit more detail. So the ADA Solar RGB, I would argue, is kind of the yardstick by which aquascape lighting is measured. The colours and the power and the actual style of the unit are amazing, but the only kind of disadvantage with the ADA Solar RGB is it's not controllable. There's no control of the power in terms of dimming or ramping, and there's no control over the light spectrum, so you can't control the red, green and blue. These actually come with fans as well, whereas the ADA Solar RGB doesn't have a fan. It just has like a large heatsink design incorporated into its body. So that's a slight disadvantage perhaps for having fans. They're running on half power now, and I honestly can't hear them at all with the background noise going around. On full power, they will be a little bit more noisy. But if you have a kind of regular home with regular ambient noise, I would suggest that the fan noise isn't an issue at all. Okay, I'll show you the app now. I'm doing a screen recording so you can see exactly what I'm doing and how it's changing the lamps above the aquarium. You can see the difference in colours, etc. So let's open up the app. It's the My Chihiros app. And hopefully it'll have no problem connecting. It will come up with the two units there, left and right. So what I'll do, I'll just focus on the left-hand lamp to give you an example. So we click on that. And now you can see this kind of main control page. So starting from the top, we're on auto mode. And then below that, we have our photo period and ramping, etc. So you can see there on the timeline, it comes on at 8 AM, ramps up to about 60% for half an hour. Then at 60% power for 6 hours, and it comes down for half an hour at the end. And that's kind of repeated on the right-hand unit as well. Below that, we've got the red, the green and the blue channels. As you can see, the red's at 60% and then the green and blue are at 50%. Going further down, we have the total power usage of that one unit is 70 watts. So it's a 130 watt unit, so that's just over half power right now. So what I'll do now in auto mode, I'm just going to fiddle around with the channels and you can see the impact that has on the colours in the actual aquarium. So let's say we wanted some more red, so we just put our finger on the slider and then slide it all the way up to over 100% there. And we'll slide the others down so you can really see that impact it's making. And then you can control all of these ratios and just keep playing around until you're really happy with what you see. Plants will actually respond well to lots of red and blue and less green, but we like to see green. I mean, if we do full power, you know, red and red and blue, it looks a little bit ridiculous, but the plants will actually love that. But you know, we're humans, we like to see green, so let's boost the green a bit and we can see that's much nicer. So the white balance in the camera is set to kind of neutral. So this is actually kind of what we're seeing, what I'm seeing for real. It's quite an accurate representation of what we can see. And it gives you an idea of how easy it is to control the spectrum to your heart's content. The photo period and the ramping is very easy to set. You can see right at the bottom of the screen now where it says quick set. Let's do that right now for us. I mean, I've only had these units for about 5 days now, so I'm still kind of making little tweaks here and there. If you've got one of these units at home, let us know what settings you have. Always interested to know your thoughts. If we wanted to program it from scratch, we just go to quick set. And then you can see here, sunrise. We set our time there. So let's have 8 AM. Next. And then we want to set the time of the actual photo period, which I want to do for 6 hours. Next. And then we have the ramp time, which I want to half an hour. Next. And then we set the intensity, which I wanted as 60% for the red, 50%, oh, so sensitive, got sausage fingers, 50% for the green, or roughly, just for demonstration purposes, you can see what's happening. And then save that. And then the unit goes through some colour changes just to show, I think, that it's saving. And then there's manual mode as well. We don't need to do that, but you can just adjust everything manually there. So there we have a very quick kind of rundown of how the app works. Very, very intuitive, very straightforward. The only disadvantage is it has crashed a couple of times on me and I've had to restart the app. But the good news is that all the settings are saved and even the settings in the actual lamps are saved. You can disconnect the power completely from the lamps and it will retain all those settings. So that's good news. So a good app. It's just a shame it's crashed a couple of times. Maybe they can do some bug fixes on the updates. So we'll wait and see on that. But that's a little bit of feedback for Chihiros right there. Okay, so there's a quick rundown of the units themselves and how to program them. Let's just talk about light in more general terms and what we might want from our aquarium lights with a particular focus on planted aquariums and aquascaping. So the first thing to say is choosing your lighting is largely down to budget and taste. The good news is that most aquarium plants can adapt to a wide variety of spectrums, colour temperatures, even intensities, etc. As long as there's enough light quantity usually between the wavelengths of 400 and around 700 nanometers, which is actually the spectrum of light that we can physically see. So generally speaking, the brighter the light you can see, the more light the plants can use. A little bit of a caveat there, plants tend to use more red and blue parts of the spectrum. So the more, you could argue, the more purple the light looks to us, probably the more efficient the plants can photosynthesize. But these are aquariums that we live with, that we look at, so we want them to be as visually appealing as possible, but we need to kind of balance that with cost. And speaking of costs, these aren't actually available to buy in the UK right now from any particular store. Chihiros are looking at UK distribution, so you will probably have to speak to your local retailer, and they'll have to go to Chihiros direct and get them over to you if you want to purchase them. I am not sure of the actual cost of these units. I want to probably guess they're between £400 and £500 retail, but please don't quote me on that. I can almost guarantee they'll be significantly less expensive than the ADA Solar RGB, but with the ADA you're paying a premium for that luxury brand and arguably that higher quality build as well. Choosing your lights, it's down to aesthetics of the actual light it's producing and actual performance of, are they going to be able to grow the plants, and your budget as well. So these, I would suggest, are at the higher end of most people's kind of expectation and buying power, etc. Having that complete control over the red, green and blue spectrums, and you can mix that to any level you like to get almost any kind of permutation of light that you like. Interesting, there's no white part of the spectrum, it's purely red, green and blue, and I think this is why it's so saturated. It kind of misses out on this almost natural light, if you like, and that is probably for me the only real disadvantage of these. It looks almost too good. It's so saturated. When I actually did that swap over from the Twin Star to these, my eyes were like, whoa, that is so rich in colour. It is impressive, it is beautiful to look at, but hopefully you can get a flavour of what you can expect watching this video. I'll list some of the advantages. They were very easy to install, probably one of the easiest lights, especially from a suspended pendant point of view, that I've ever installed. And this suspension kit here from Atlantis, I'm really quite impressed with it. I'll leave a link to that in the description. I'll leave a link to the Chihiros website as well, where you might be able to get in touch with them yourselves. If you're a retailer and you're interested in stocking these, then obviously reach out to Chihiros. I'm impressed with it. It's definitely growing the plants. It's been running on here for 5 days now. The plants are pearling. No sign of any crypt melt, which I was a little bit worried about. It is early days at the moment. My crypts have melted before when I made the switch from Kessel to Twin Star, and I think it was that huge shift in light spectrum that triggered the melting. That might happen still in here. It is early days. If that does happen, then that is one of those things. The crypts will recover if I want them to. Very impressed. Great controllability, easy to install. Not sure about price. Build quality seems very good. The fans are quiet. The app's easy to use, although it does crash a couple of times. I'll leave it up to you guys if you want to find out more about these. Thank you to Chihiros for sending them over for me to test out. I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform over the next few weeks or so. Some exciting news for you guys. I am actually going to be getting rid of this in 3 months' time. I'm going to be replacing it with an OASE HighLine 400. The aim is to have a really beautiful planted discus, Aquascape for Stenker discus, so I'm really excited about that. It's actually a bigger aquarium than this as well, so that's really cool. So I'm kind of open-minded about what I do with this Aquascape for the next 3 months. Do I rescape it? I did have an idea of putting my Malawi cichlids in here because they're getting really big for the OASE HighLine 175. Do I just keep this one going? Do I rescape this as another nature aquarium, or do I do another style of Aquascape? Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think. And let me know what you think to these lights, what your first impressions are. Would you consider getting these if you can either afford them or if you can get hold of them? Always interested to know your thoughts and always appreciate your comments. So I'll say cheerio now. I'll leave with some cinematic B-roll, some nice music for you to enjoy. Thanks for watching all the way to this point. I do appreciate you watching my videos, and hopefully you can gain some value from them. You take care, keep on scaping. Cheerio. Welcome to another video from the GFS gallery. Really exciting again. This one, that's not the right thing to say, really exciting again. And there's no control over the spectrum. Tommy's just having a bit of a bark, that's really helpful. Tommy, Tommy, here.